A car ride to the store ended in tragedy for a young Arizona family.
I ain't never gonna see my son again. I ain't never gonna see my grandbaby again.
8-year-old Envy Cardenas and her father, 30-year-old Quincy Polk, were shot and killed in their car near 19th Avenue and Baseline Road.
This made no sense that my son had to die this way. Like, that was just overboard. And then to turn around and hurt my grandbaby also, that's senseless.
Phoenix police could not confirm if this is a road rage incident, but tell us Polk and another driver got into a physical fight in a parking lot Saturday afternoon. They separated and went back to their own cars. That's when the suspect, identified as 28-year-old Tyrone D. Chili, allegedly pulled a gun and shot at Polk's car several times, hitting Polk, his girlfriend, and 2 of their young daughters.
November 22nd, 2025. A normal Friday afternoon. A father takes his family to Lowe's to pick up some supplies. 15 minutes later, he's dead. His 8-year-old daughter is dying. His fiancée is clinging to life with bullets in her face and neck. And his 5-year-old has a bullet lodged in her leg that doctors say can never be removed. All of this because someone honked their horn in traffic. Before we dive into what happened in that parking lot, if you appreciate the work we do here at CSI Crime Archives, bringing you these real stories with respect and detail, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to click that bell icon so you never miss an upload. It really helps us continue covering these important cases. Now, let me tell you about Quincy Polk. 30 years old. By all accounts, this was a man who lived for his children. His mother would later tell reporters something that really stuck with me. She said Quincy wouldn't go anywhere without his daughters. Nowhere. They were his world. Whether it was a trip to the grocery store or running errands around Phoenix, those little girls were always by his side. His oldest daughter, Envy Cardenas, was 8 years old. Her family described her as smart, happy, bouncy, with long, beautiful hair. The kind of kid who lit up every room she walked into. She had her whole life ahead of her. Second grade homework, birthday parties, dreams of what she wanted to be when she grew up. All the normal things an 8-year-old should be thinking about. Then there was Nasix Blue, 5 years old, and baby Alani, just 1 year old. Quincy's fiancée, Alexis Cardenas, Envy's mother, was with them that day too. Just a regular family, going about their regular Friday afternoon. They had no idea they were about to drive into a nightmare. So what happened? Well, it started the way so many of these tragedies start. On the road. According to the suspect, Tyrone D. Chili, 28 years old, he was driving near 19th Avenue and Baseline Road in Phoenix when he noticed a tan SUV pull up behind him. The SUV started tailgating him. Close. Really close. And then came the horn. Not just a quick tap, but several honks. Aggressive honks. Now, I want you to think about this for a second. How many times has someone tailgated you? How many times have you been annoyed by another driver? It happens to all of us, right? It's frustrating. But here's the thing. Most of us take a deep breath and move on with our day. We don't let it escalate. We don't let it consume us. But that's not what happened on November 22nd. Instead of letting it go, instead of just driving away, both men made a choice. They chose to engage. And that choice cost 2 innocent lives. The vehicles ended up at a Lowe's parking lot, right there at 19th Avenue and Baseline. It was just before 3 in the afternoon. Families everywhere. People shopping for their weekend projects. Kids in parking lot. A public space where everyone should feel safe. But Quincy Polk and Tyrone Chili got out of their vehicles. And what started as a traffic dispute turned physical. According to Chili's statement to investigators, Quincy punched him 4 to 5 times in the face, head, and body. He said he fell to the ground and crawled away to a wall, trying to escape. But Quincy wasn't done. Chili claimed that Quincy grabbed him by the shirt and threatened him. Then, according to Chili, Alexis Cardenas got involved too. He said she kicked him in the head while he was on the ground. Now, we have to remember, this is Chili's version of events. The person who ultimately pulled the trigger and killed 2 people. So we need to take it with a grain of salt. But let's say, for the sake of argument, that everything he said is true. Let's say he did get beaten up in that parking lot. Let's say he was on the ground, hurt, scared, maybe humiliated. What happened next is where everything went horribly, irreversibly wrong. Both men went back to their vehicles. The fight was over. It was done. They could have driven away. They could have called the police. They could have let it in right there. But Tyrone Chili made a different choice. He reached into his vehicle, and he grabbed his handgun. He racked it, loaded a round into the chamber. And then he heard it. Another honk. Quincy, sitting in his vehicle with his entire family, honked at Chili to move. And that's when Chili snapped. He told investigators he was angry about being assaulted. He turned toward the tan SUV, aimed his weapon, and opened fire.
Well, Mark, Caribe court records confirm that this deadly shooting started with road rage in this parking lot near 19th Avenue and Baseline Road. The shooting happened just a few hundred feet from where a memorial of candles and stuffed animals continues to grow. Today, we've learned the suspect and victims crossed paths after visiting separate stores in this shopping center. And in that victim car was a family of 5, including an 8-year-old, 5-year-old, and 1-year-old sisters. According to court records, 28-year-old Tyrone D. Chili allegedly told detectives he was leaving the parking lot when the victim's car pulled up behind him and began honking his horn. The two drivers got out of their cars and began physically fighting. Chili claims the other driver hit him several times with a closed fist and he couldn't hit back. The drivers then separated and went back to their own cars. That's when Chili allegedly grabbed a gun and shot several rounds at the victim's car.
Witnesses in the parking lot would later report hearing 15 shots. 15. They said it started slow, then ramped up. But here's what really gets me. Here's the part that makes this so much worse. Chili told investigators he didn't see anyone else in that vehicle. He didn't know there were children in the car. He said he aimed at Quincy, at the driver, and just started shooting. He didn't look. He didn't think. He just fired. Again and again and again. Quincy Polk was hit. He died right there at the scene. Multiple gunshot wounds. He never stood a chance. But the bullets didn't stop at Quincy. In the back seats were 3 little girls. 1, 5, and 8 years old. Alexis Cardenas, their mother, was hit in the face, neck, and shoulder. 5-year-old Nasix Blue was shot in the leg. And 8-year-old Envy, beautiful little Envy with her long hair and bright smile, she took a bullet too. And it was bad. Really bad. Now here's something that witnesses saw. Alexis Cardenas, despite being shot in the face and neck, despite the unimaginable pain and terror, she grabbed her own gun. And she fired back at Chili. A mother, bleeding, watching her family being murdered in front of her, fought back. Several bystanders' vehicles were struck by gunfire during this exchange. It was chaos. Pure chaos. When the shooting finally stopped, Chili realized what he'd done. He saw Alexis screaming. He heard her crying out, "My baby! My baby!" He watched as she pulled Envy from the rear passenger seat. That's when it hit him. There were kids in the car. He told investigators he would not have shot Quincy if he could go back in time. He said he didn't understand why Quincy would assault him with children in the vehicle. But isn't that ironic? He was confused about why someone would fight with their kids present, yet he had no problem firing 15 rounds at a family vehicle in a public parking lot. Chili called 911. He told them he had just shot someone. But by then, the damage was done. Irreversible. Permanent. Devastating. First responders rushed to the scene. They found Quincy dead. They found Alexis barely conscious, blood pouring from her face and neck. They found 2 little girls shot. And they found 1-year-old Alani, miraculously unharmed physically, but traumatized in ways we can't even begin to understand. Envy was rushed to the hospital. Doctors fought to save her. They did everything they could. But the next day, November 23rd, 8-year-old Envy Cardenas died from her injuries. A second grader. A little girl who loved to bounce around and make people smile. Gone. Alexis Cardenas was placed in a medically induced coma. The bullets had shattered her face. When she briefly woke up, she couldn't speak because of her injuries. So she wrote on paper. And what did she write? Her daughter's name. Over and over. Envy. 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 A mother's heart breaking in real time. She didn't know yet that Envy was gone. She had to be told that her daughter, her baby girl, was dead. And she would need facial reconstruction surgery to even begin to recover from the physical wounds. The emotional ones. Those will never heal. 5-year-old Nasix Blue survived, but she'll carry the bullet in her leg for the rest of her life. Doctors said it can't be removed. Every step she takes for the rest of her life, she'll be reminded of the day her father and sister were murdered. Can you imagine? Being 5 years old and having to process that level of trauma? Josra Martin, Quincy's mother and Envy's grandmother, spoke to reporters after the shooting.
It made no sense that my son had to die this way. Like, that was just overboard. And then to turn around and hurt my grandbaby also, that's senseless.
She was facing two funerals, a mother burying her son, a grandmother burying her granddaughter. In what universe is that fair? In what world does a traffic dispute justify that kind of loss? The family later spoke out, begging people to learn from this tragedy. Quincy's aunt said something really important. She said, "Get home to your family. It's not worth it." And she's right. It's not worth it. No amount of pride, no amount of anger, no moment of rage is worth your life or the lives of innocent people. Walk away. Just walk away. Tyrone Chili was arrested at the scene. But here's something interesting. After the shooting, he was taken to the hospital first. Why? Because he had a finger injury and high blood sugar. The man who just killed 2 people and shot 3 others got medical treatment before being questioned. He was eventually charged with 2 counts of first-degree premeditated murder, 3 counts of aggravated assault, and 2 counts of endangerment. He's being held on a $3 million cash bond. First-degree premeditated murder. Let that sink in for a minute. Prosecutors are arguing that this wasn't just a heat-of-the-moment thing. They're saying Chili had time to think. He went back to his vehicle. He retrieved his gun. He loaded it. And then he made the conscious decision to turn around and fire at that SUV. That's premeditation. That's not self-defense. That's murder. Rachel Mitchell, the Maricopa County attorney, issued a statement after this shooting. She said, "Road rage is very prevalent in Arizona. We have far too many people being killed." She urged drivers who struggle with anger to leave their guns at home. And she advised everyone to immediately disengage from aggressive encounters on the road. Because this isn't an isolated incident. This is happening more and more. People are dying over parking spaces, over lanes, over perceived slights on the highway. A memorial of candles was set up at the Lowe's parking lot where Quincy and Envy lost their lives. Strangers who never knew them stopped to pay their respects. Because this story hit everyone hard. It could have been any of us, any family, any Friday afternoon. The family launched a fundraiser to help cover memorial and medical expenses. Because on top of losing 2 family members, they now have massive hospital bills. Alexis needs multiple surgeries. The children need therapy. Funerals are expensive. And all of this happened because 2 men couldn't let go of a traffic dispute. Alexis will live with survivor's guilt for the rest of her life. She fired back. She tried to protect her family. But it wasn't enough. Her partner is dead. Her daughter is dead. Another daughter is permanently injured. And she'll look in the mirror every day at the scars from her reconstructive surgery and be reminded of the day her entire world fell apart. How do you recover from that? How do you move forward? And what about 1-year-old Alani? She's too young to remember this day. But she'll grow up knowing that her father and sister were murdered before she could form memories of them. She'll see photos and videos and have to imagine what it would have been like to have them in her life. She'll watch her mother struggle with PTSD. She'll watch her sister limp because of the bullet that can't be removed. This will shape her entire childhood, even if she doesn't remember the actual event. The psychological impact of this kind of trauma doesn't just affect the immediate victims. It ripples out. Quincy's mother lost her son and granddaughter. How does she cope? How does any grandparent cope with burying their grandbaby? The extended family, the friends, the community, they're all affected. And even the witnesses in that parking lot, the people who heard those 15 shots, who saw the aftermath, who maybe even saw Alexis screaming and pulling her daughter from the car, they're traumatized too. Some of them probably have nightmares. Some of them probably can't go to that Lowe's anymore without having a panic attack. And here's something that really gets under my skin. Chili expressed regret. He said he wouldn't have shot Quincy if he could go back. He said he didn't see the children. But does that make it better? Does that excuse anything? Because even if there were no children in that car, even if it was just Quincy alone, firing 15 shots at someone over a road rage incident is still murder. The presence of children makes it more tragic, more horrific, but it doesn't make the initial act any less evil. This case raises so many questions about who we are as a society. We have more guns than people in this country. We have a culture that often values pride and standing your ground over de-escalation and walking away. We have a legal system that sometimes struggles to distinguish between legitimate self-defense and revenge. And we have a mental health crisis where people don't know how to manage their anger, their trauma, their emotions. What could have prevented this? Better anger management resources? Stricter gun laws? A cultural shift away from confrontation and toward peace? All of the above? Would Quincy and Envy still be alive if Chile didn't have easy access to a firearm? Would they still be alive if our society didn't glorify standing up for yourself even when walking away is the smarter choice? Would they still be alive if Chile had been taught healthy ways to process being disrespected or assaulted? These aren't easy questions, and there are no easy answers. But we have to ask them, because until we start having these conversations, until we start making changes, this is going to keep happening. More families will be destroyed. More children will be killed. More mothers will wake up from medically induced comas and write their dead child's name over and over on a piece of paper. Tyrone Chile is scheduled to appear back in court on December 1st. He faces life in prison if convicted. And honestly, that's not enough. There is no punishment severe enough to balance the scales here. You can't give Quincy his life back. You can't give Envy her childhood back. You can't give this family their happiness back. Whatever happens to Chile in the legal system, it won't undo the damage. It won't heal the wounds. It won't stop the nightmares. So what can we learn from this? What's the takeaway? I think it's this. Life is fragile. Incredibly, devastatingly fragile. One moment you're running errands with your family, and the next moment you're gone. And it can happen over something as stupid as a honking horn. So the next time someone cuts you off in traffic, the next time someone tailgates you, the next time someone honks at you or flips you off or yells something through their window, ask yourself, is this worth my life? Is this worth risking my family? Is this worth the possibility of destroying multiple lives? Because it's not. It's never worth it. Your ego will heal. Your pride will recover. But a bullet wound? That's forever. Death? That's permanent. And the grief, the trauma, the guilt, the loss, that echoes through generations. Quincy Polk should be alive right now. He should be helping his daughters with their homework. He should be planning Christmas presents. He should be growing old with Alexis. Envy Cardenas should be alive right now. She should be in 3rd grade next year. She should be losing teeth and learning multiplication and fighting with her sisters over toys. But they're not. They're gone. And we're left with the question that haunts every true crime case. Why? Why do we let our anger control us? Why do we value pride over peace? Why do we reach for guns instead of walking away? Why do we let 15 seconds of rage destroy entire lives? And maybe most importantly, what are we going to do differently to make sure this doesn't keep happening? I don't have all the answers. But I know this. Every single one of us has a choice when we're behind the wheel. We can choose to engage, or we can choose to let it go. We can choose to escalate, or we can choose to be the bigger person. We can choose violence, or we can choose life. Quincy and Envy don't get to make choices anymore. But we do. So what are you going to choose the next time someone makes you angry on the road? If this case affected you, if it made you think, if it reminded you of how precious and fragile life is, do me a favor. Share this video. Talk about it with your friends and family. Have those uncomfortable conversations about anger and guns and de-escalation. And most importantly, remember Quincy and Envy the next time you're tempted to engage in road rage. Let their tragedy be the thing that saves someone else's life. Let their deaths mean something. Thank you for watching CSI Crime Archives. If this deep dive into the case resonated with you, please subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our future coverage. We tell these stories to honor the victims, to seek understanding, and hopefully, to prevent future tragedies. Leave a comment below sharing your thoughts on this case. And remember, it's never worth it. Just drive away. Get home safe. Your family is waiting for you.